All right, everybody, how y'all doing? Whew. So, at some point, you really have to understand that when you have goals and dreams and things that you want to do, you have to take a step. If this is your first time tuning into this podcast, this is the Second Gen Entertainment podcast in the chair with Eli Holland. My name is Eli Holland. I am the founder, owner, and chief cinematographer of Second Gen Entertainment LLC, a video production company based in Southern Kentucky. I have been debating on pulling the trigger on doing a podcast for a long time. Um, I think it was actually when I started listening to the Norse Mentality, uh, which is actually a very good podcast you can find on Spotify. Um, it's just, Jesus, I forgot the company who made it. Norse Fitness, by Norse Fitness. Uh, yeah, sorry, I had a brain fart. The name escaped me for a second, but it's by this company called Norse Fitness. And listening to that podcast, thinking about that, watching the podcast for Think Media and other shows that I love to listen to and watch, it made me start considering it. But my inspiration for really finally taking the time to do it this time would actually be Boo Boo, or Seraphim as I know her. She is my younger cousin. She's 16. She has her own podcast that she puts out on Spotify called Dad, I Want to, which is a play on the fact of the first time she told my uncle, her dad, that she wanted to do a podcast. Dad, I want to start a podcast. And so she did. Um, so I just want to take this moment to say that I'm very proud of her and all that she's done and accomplished. And while I can say I'm jealous that you beat me into starting yours, Seraphim, I love you. And I'm very proud of you and everything that you've done. But be that as it may, as I said, every journey starts with a single step. Everything. Um, like when I started to film, my why was simply the fact of wanting to escape from the reality that I had found myself in. Um, as a creator, you find that typically you take your trauma, your past experiences, your pain, and turn it into something positive for you and into an outlet. That outlet eventually grows into a hobby or something that you love, like for Michael Jordan's basketball. For Steven Spielberg and people like that, it's filmmaking. Other people, they turn to less accepted ways, but regardless, it is an escape for them from the reality. I just decided to put mine to something positive. This episode, I really just want to talk about my journey and how everybody's journey starts with a single step, a single thought, a single idea. And what I love about that so much is the fact that you can't help but to want to continue that journey. When you find something you really love to do, something that really does give you an escape, you can't help but to want to keep going, to figure out how much more you can do, to figure out what else you can create. For me, my journey started with writing. I loved reading, and I'd started reading a lot in school, especially the Warriors book series by Aaron Hunter. And I started writing around the time that came out. And I showed my teachers the small little books I'd written. Like one of them, Miss Gloria Baker, who was my second grade teacher, I had shown her something I'd written in Crown, and she kept telling me I had a real talent and I should keep up with it. And so that's something that I thought would be really cool to do. So I had started writing my own books, which I had never technically finished any of them. But that was because at the time I was a kid who was so worried about the opinion of others and them trying to bully me into not being able to do what it is I wanted to do, or because I was a nerd or anything, I just didn't listen. And to me, at the time, that's what mattered more. But now that I think about it, I don't really care. I'd stopped doing part of something that I love to do to appease other people. But as I got older, that love of writing turned into film. The concept of being able to put a story on a page on a program like Final Draft or Celtics, if that's how you pronounce it. I still don't know how to pronounce that one. Um, apps like that, or like I would be want to do, ask my grandmother or my parents for the money to spend on more notebooks because I had so many ideas in my head. I just had to keep writing and writing and writing. And I had so many ideas in my head that I just kept writing, and I never really brought that to fruition until I was about 16 or 17 when I had actually started my first YouTube channel, which is Private 916 Productions on YouTube, where I did Transformer stop motion. That was the first time I had taken anything I had written and put it out there, right? And I actually like to think I did pretty good. I mean, I stopped working on that series simply because of the fact that I joined the Army right out of high school, and I had planned to continue that story, which I am still in the works on trying to do that now. But I'm focused more on the live action aspect of it versus the stop motion aspect, because for me, I feel like I should do the stop motion at this point for me for fun, because it's fun for me and it's a very good escape. Yes, it's tedious. Uh, I think the largest amount of pictures I took at the time when the program I was using was actually Movie Maker. God, I'm so sad that program's dead because it made things so easy. But I think the largest amount of pictures I had to take was a couple thousand, and that's not even as smooth as it could get because there are other stop motion artists that I've followed from that channel, like Jordan Singh. There's so many others that their stop motion is so smooth that you'd think that it's not. But I mean, hey, that's just how it goes. That's just their journeys and what their journeys took them to. But eventually, I decided to make the choice of going into live action film, and eventually had started film school, where I had gotten most of the equipment that I've been using for the last 3 years to either do school assignments or like I'm about to do later, actually, in about an hour, to start doing live action shoots. I'd prefer making actual film because I love Marvel, I love DC. I don't really have a preference for either one. It just depends on what character is that's on the screen that I love more. Like for me personally, I'm Team Cap. Right? I don't care what you say. Cap was right because there's no reason for any hero to have to register their name and address for the government, regardless, because that never, ever ends well for anybody. Uh, Never ends well for anybody. But that's beside the point. But anyway, I had started getting more into doing live action film because of the fact that I had found that to be more enjoyable than just writing. I had found that to be a lot more, what's the word? Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I apologize. I found that to be a lot more engaging and riveting. Yes, that definitely can be more tedious because of the fact that you have to think on how can you lead these people to get the result that you want. How can you make it so that your actors and actresses feel comfortable with what it is you're asking of them and still get what you want and not come off as a dictator. That is something that I've been called at certain points in my life when I was in charge of certain things, and I can understand looking back on it why at this point. So to those people, if you ever see this episode, I do apologize, but I do also want to thank you for being a part of my journey and helping me get to a point where I can acknowledge that I was wrong. But no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter where you are in life, your journey is always going to have ups and downs. It's always going to take you into different places. You can very easily get to the point where you are so pushed down by elements of your journey or by the end goal that you lose sight of the journey itself. There have been times where I've been so focused on the end goal of wanting to run my own film production company, which was the biggest goal that I had as a child, was just running it. I wasn't concerned with how I got there. I wasn't concerned with learning anything. I wasn't concerned with how I can take X, Y, and Z step to get me to that point. I just wanted to run a film production company. And at the time, when my family would tell me that they didn't think that was a good idea, all I heard was people telling me I can't do it. Whether it was my family, whether it was friends, or whether it was classmates laughing and stuff like that, I just heard I can't do it. It was never going to happen. And that, in all honesty, made me more determined to make it happen, but I still wasn't thinking about the journey itself. And now that I think about it, I am grateful, not because the fact that I forgot that it's not the destination, but it's the journey you take and how you get there, and what steps you take to let yourself get there. But it is instead enjoying the process, enjoying what it is that God has for you and what it is that He wants you to do. My biggest thing now is letting my journey be a guide for my children. At the time of me recording this, my wife is still pregnant. For all I know, by the time I release this, she might actually have her daughter. But I don't know. We shall see. Praying that she's always healthy and that she leads a good life and that I can guide my family to the good life. But for me, now it's how do I take the steps to be a better father for my children, be a better husband for my wife, chief among those things that I have, how to be a better leader for my family. I love everyone that I'm attached to, but I love my family more. I love my wife to the end of the earth. So for me, it is the fact that now, ever since I met her, she, regardless of the arguments we have had or the arguments I've had with either of our families, she is the biggest supporter of this journey that I have taken and what it is that I'm doing. And I cannot thank her enough. There is no amount of money I can spend on her dreams, on her in general, taking her out, that can definitively say thank you enough to me, because just her support, her pushing me, has been more invaluable than anything that I have ever been given, anything I've ever been said, any comments from any of my teachers, no matter what it is. Her help and her support is the best thing that I can ask for. Because during the journey that you take to reach your goals, if you don't have that one person who will push you no matter what it is that you feel, to me personally, you're never going to make it there. And I just graduated film school. I'd spent the last 3 years with the Los Angeles Film School with their digital filmmaking degree. And actually, in a month or so, if I don't move up my start date, I start my master's in business admin. And she understands the amount of school I'm going to be in. It's going to take a long time for me to get to where it is I want to get to educational wise, regardless of the experience that I need. But she's the one who keeps pushing me to shoot ads for people, write scripts, do videos, make sure I stay up on my YouTube schedule, even trying to do that while taking care of them. So while there are times when she doesn't like the fact that the journey that I'm on might have me losing sleep a lot, she understands that this is a journey that I have to take. And like me with her dreams, she just has to be there for me. It doesn't always help her, doesn't always come out the way that I feel like it should or I think she means in my mind sometimes. But regardless of all of that, her help is the most invaluable I have. So for those of you out there who are just wanting to take that step of starting your journey, whether it's filmmaking, business owning, you want to be as fit as you possibly can be, journeys like that, and you have that special person in your life, talk to them. Because on those days when you don't feel like you can, that person will make you feel like you can do anything on this planet. There's so many days when I thought my actual day job, my work, had beaten me and that I wouldn't be able to get anything done that I needed to get done. But my wife had it set up for me to where when I came home, the only thing I had to worry about was getting started. Um, I mean, no, she hasn't learned, like, she's not learned as much as far as like setting up my camera equipment and everything else, but she'll listen or try to help me. And the biggest thing that I have to think about and remember is she doesn't know what I know, so I have to be understanding for what it is that she needs of me to help her help me, and vice versa. But like I said, her support has been invaluable. But the journey that you take, the biggest thing I can say is the one thing that definitely helps me all the time is God. If you look back on any of the videos that I posted earlier this year, the first video that I posted was how to reach your goals for 2023. And yes, you can have a vision, you can have lists, you can have all these things. But like I said in that video, the worst thing, well, the best thing, the worst thing you can't do and the best thing you can do for yourself is to pray, because he will always meet you halfway. There is nothing that he won't meet you halfway in, as long as you put in the effort. Like if you go back through to that video, the first thing I had said, or one of the pictures I had, was an Acadia, right? And by God's grace, I was able to get to the point where I could get my wife an Acadia. She'd been in an accident last April, and after having issues with trying to get my truck fixed, I just decided to buy a new truck. So we finally went and got her car fixed, or tried to anyway, and come to find out they totaled her car. Just with the fact that she had damage to her driver's side passenger rear. It was $8,000 in damage total, which totaled out her car. So we were able to get her a newer Acadia. It wasn't a brand new one like I want, but like I said, I am grateful for the things that God gives me anyway, because this is part of my journey. And he will bless me with more when I appreciate what I have. Like, I wouldn't be able to get this, have gotten the equipment that I have had I not been appreciative of where I started, which was in my room in my grandma's apartment in 2012 on my floor with a school web computer and a webcam that my uncle, I believe, had given me. And that's how I started. I started taking pictures with all my Transformers figures that I have in storage right now, making stop motion. And to me, honestly, that was the greatest feeling and the greatest thing ever at that point in time. And I was always proud of the product I put out. Now, of course, I look back on it and I'm just like, ugh, this is gross. I can't watch it. Like, my wife gives me crap for it all the time because she'll pull it up randomly. My son thinks it's cool, so I'm happy about it. But looking at what I feel like I would be capable of now with the things that I know as far as lighting techniques and things like that, yeah, I know I can do better. And I should probably prove that at some point. We're not going to talk about that. And I should definitely prove that at some point. But It's where I started my journey. Like, yeah, it can definitely. I guess the biggest thing is at some point we have to start. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter with what. But at some point, we do have to take that first step. We do have to start our journey. Because how can we get to the end stage of our goals? How can we get to the end stage of our journey if we don't remember to at least take that first step? If you need help, you can find me on Facebook at Second Gen Entertainment. Find me on Instagram at Second Gen Entertainment, all lowercase. Uh, you can leave a comment here, and I will gladly get a hold of you through comments until we go to messages if YouTube ever makes that a thing. Or you can even find me on Facebook. Um, I do have a link tree, which I do have a contact form on, and you can use that to contact me if you need help, tips, tools, you need somebody to motivate you, to help get you going, whatever, what have you. But I am here. Everyone needs somebody with them when they take that journey. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter how, as long as somebody shows up for you. You have to remember to show up for yourself first. But you can always have somebody help you with that journey. And if y'all need help, I am definitely here for you. And I will not fault you for asking. See, this space here, this room, which is where Second Gen is established at right now, because I would love to be able to have my own space outside of my house, so my wife doesn't feel like she has to give up part of her space. But that's not where we're at right now. It's still part of my journey. But you have to start somewhere. But here, right here, if you ask for help, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't matter what you're into, because from a personal standpoint, I don't care. My goal as the owner of my company is to help you as a filmmaker and as a business owner reach your full potential through making videos for you, if I can, if that is what you so choose to do and use my company for. But even then, if you need help on a personal level, get in contact with me and I will help you. I love you all. God bless. And we shall continue to take the journey together. You have a blessed day. Peace.